Good morning, Rahima ji.
नमस्ते। कैसे हैं आप?
मैं बहुत नर्वस हूँ।
मैं नर्वस
मैं
हूँ
नर्वस
बहुत।
हूँ। मेरा बंगाली इतना खराब है। हिंदी तो खराब है, बंगाली और भी खराब है।
আমার খুব ভয় লাগছে।
आप ऊपर डरू छू। Hello, I'm Deval Sangvi, and this is No Cost Extension. Today I'm in conversation with Rahima Khatun. For over 2 decades, she's been associated with Nari-O-Shishu Kalyan Kendra, an NGO working for the rights and dignity of women across rural West Bengal. This is also a podcast that we're doing in Bengali and Hindi and English. So I appreciate the listeners taking out time to hear these translations. So, Mashweta, please introduce yourself.
I am Mahashweta, and I have been a part of the communications team at the Rebuild India Fund program within Dasra. Today, I'll be translating for both Rahima and Deval in Bengali and English.
Great. And so thank you again, Rahima ji, for joining this podcast. We're so excited to have you share your story with so many people across India and across the world.
Thank you so much, Devalji.
We were very privileged to have now known Rahima ji for over a year. She is one of the multiple phenomenal NGO leaders that are part of the Rebuild India Fund. So, Rahima, it would be good for you to speak a little bit about how this organization was started, what your father was thinking at the time, and really how this all began.
আমার বাবা আমাদের আমাদের গ্রামটা হচ্ছে পশ্চিমবঙ্গের খাসখামার বলে নাম গ্রামটার, এবং বাবা মাস্টার মশাই বলে।
After independence, since 1952, on the Republic Day, that's when Rahima ji's father started a library with the villagers where there can be books for everyone. So the major idea of this library was to promote education for everyone since school at that point of time. Initially, he also started madrassas or schools for Muslim men and women. But then he realized that education is not the one thing. They also should work on other stuffs like health, government schemes. Slowly, he realized that only men and boys of the village used to go to school.
বারবার বলতেন, যেমন বলতেন যে একটা সাইকেল, যে সাইকেলের যদি একটা চাকা না চলে তাহলে কিন্তু সেই সাইকেলটা চলবে না।
A cycle can't move if the two wheels are not working together. So both men and women should be going to school, and that's when they also started working with women. In 1978, there was a flood in West Bengal, and whenever a disaster hits, women and girls are the ones who are affected the most. They stopped coming to schools, they were not going to a library, and that's when the initiative started with women.
আর এছাড়াও 80 আর সেই সময় আমি খুব ছোট্ট, একদমই ছোট্ট, কিন্তু আমাদের বাড়িতে
At that time, she was very young, but at home she used to see other women come to her father whenever they used to face gender-based violence. Soon her father realized that gender-based violence cannot be solved only through counseling, so he started adult literacy program for women. NOSKK was formed and registered under Government of West Bengal. They initially started with the adult literacy program, visiting households to educate women, fostering harmony, promoting Hindu-Muslim unity, and emphasizing solidarity.
রিলিজিয়ান, হিন্দু মুসলমান সব মানে সলিডারিটার কথা খুব জোর দিতেন, যে আমরা, আর বারবার একটা কথা বলবেন যে আমরা লোকালি কাজ করব কিন্তু আমরা থিঙ্ক গ্লোবালি, কি অনেক ভাববো যে।
His slogan was Act Local, Think Global, and he actively promoted and advocated brotherhood. Every Saturday, he would explain to the youth how to bring progress to their own village. Rahima, along with a group of youth, were involved in building houses, cleaning drainage systems, and they invested a lot of energy in developing the country. Her father extensively promoted this vision alongside the organization's growth.
And Rahima ji, a lot of the listeners of No Cost Extension, the podcast, are also NGO leaders, myself included. And one of the things I want to ask is, when you were growing up and you were exposed to all of this, what sort of made you decide to then join this effort? or did you have in your mind to do something else and then you came to this effort?
আহ, নেই আহ, আবার বাবা পড়াশোনার প্রতি খুব গুরুত্ব দিতেন যে স্কুলে যাবে। তো আমার দিদি যখন প্রথম কলেজে যায় পড়াশোনা করতেন, কিন্তু দিদি কলেজে যেতে খুব, মেয়েরা কলেজে যাবে এটা একদম চাইতো না। আর আমার বাবার কাজটা আমরা খুব শ্রদ্ধা করতাম, বাবাকে যখন সবাই খুব সম্মান করত।
Her father used to focus a lot on education, and at that point of time, the women started going to college was a big thing. So Rahima ji and some of her friends from the village were the first women in Howrah, in her area, to go to Kolkata for university. So everyone used to, in the village, used to tell her father that first you show education at your home and then you talk about it to us. And that's what he showed, that his daughters went to college. And what used to inspire her more was that her father used to always go to villages and help others to create NGOs. And now whenever she goes to other villages, she hears, even till now, she hears that her father helped them in getting their NGOs registered and helped them write bylaws. So those NGOs are doing well, and that makes her very proud. And she feels her father has been an inspiration. Since childhood, she has been feeling that whatever she do, it should be related to social work. She really loves doing this job.
And when did she then decide to join full time? And what are some of the areas when she joined that she looked after that her father had done? And what are some of the shifts that she also brought in place within the organization?
প্রথমে আমি ইয়ুথ লিডার ছিলাম ওখানকার। ছোটবেলা
Initially, she started working as a youth leader at village. She used to go to youth camps with her father, work on youth leadership. But she started working full time in 1995 when there was this Beijing conference
বেজিং কনফারেন্সে গিয়ে দেখলাম 50,000 মেয়ে এসছে সারা
where 50,000 women from across the world came together.
এত বড়, কি বলবো, একটা ইনার স্ট্রেংথ, ভেতরের একটা শক্তি অনুভব করলাম।
At that conference, she could feel the inner strength. The experience that she had was great. And what she realized is that the violence that she sees in her village is not something that only happens in her area, it happens globally. So that's why it's important for everyone to come together. After coming back from that conference, she started thinking about it full time. She was in university, but she wanted to give her full time and a full heart to this. She started having a dream where no women should be discriminated just because of their gender.
And in 1996, what was the organization size? How many people were there? If you have an idea, it was a long time ago, but about budget size, where were you where was the NGO then?
প্রথমে সংগঠনটা মানে পশ্চিমবঙ্গে রেজিস্টার ছিল। আমরা ছোট ছোট স্কুল চালাতাম, 20টা ছোট স্কুল চলতো।
Initially, when they started, the organization was only registered by West Bengal government. But after going to the Beijing conference, there were a lot of exposure that she and her organization got. So they started with livelihood training, the marketing started, the West Bengal government and the Indian government recognized her organization. There were a lot of networks that she got to know about. National Alliance for Women Matri platform. Everyone got to know about her organization. In 2002, she started working on adolescent health, and there were few Sweden visitors whom she met at the Beijing conference who came to visit there. And after looking at her organization, they also gave them a small fund to work on adolescent health. And there was a study that was released by Scotland University as well.
One of the areas that we're seeing again with Rebuild, and I would say the Indian development sector overall, is participation of our voice in global conferences is minimal. Funders are not usually paying for participation. Does it make sense to spend that kind of money to travel, hotel accommodation, even Airbnb, even sleeping on somebody's couch? It becomes a 1 or 2 trips become as much as a monthly salary. But clearly, through these conversations at a global level, you're able to talk, share experiences on the ground, as well as learn from what's happening and build stronger relationships. And I think one of the things we're trying to do overall is how do we bring the India voice and stories out more? And how do we then, as your father said, bring the global sort of solutions, but Indianize them more as well? And in that sort of connection of learning from the outside, sharing to the outside, needs to increase across the board. And it's amazing again that you were able to get that opportunity so early on in your professional career. And I think as we think about then where you are today and some of your programs, if you can speak a little bit about the Vara Na Todo program or Mera Ghar Aapka Dekho program, I think that'll be helpful for the listeners to understand again in terms of what are some of the activities the organization does today.
প্রথমত আমাদের মহিলাদের এম্পাওয়ারমেন্টের জন্য যে কাজগুলো হচ্ছে
The first one is the women empowerment work. She has a self-help group where there are 7,000 women included, where there is entrepreneurship training, small business, and there is a lot of community involvement included here. So one of the self-help group works on creating a sanitary napkin for women. This also adds into their work on adolescent health, and they also promote menstrual hygiene by giving this women sanitary napkin. Other work with women include early marriage prevention, safe migration. They have also started a counseling center, and most importantly, after pandemic, they have started a migration resilience collaborative where there are 1.5 lakh migrants. They work on spreading awareness about the government social security programs. They not just work on awareness, but also help them in immediately getting work after coming back from migrating.
তো এডুকেশন, হেলথ, লাইভলিহুড এবং লাইভলিহুডের একটা নতুন আমরা চেঞ্জ, জেন্ডার নর্মস চেঞ্জ করার জন্য non-traditional life.
Other things that they work on include education, health, livelihood, but most importantly and interestingly, for the past 2 years, she has been working on gender norms change, on non-traditional livelihood for women who come from vulnerable backgrounds, including scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, and religious minority backgrounds. One of them is teaching women to drive auto and toto.
এটাও কিন্তু আমরা আনতে পারছি সমাজে এবং এটা একটা বড় চেঞ্জ হচ্ছে।
In our conversations in the past, we've been speaking about mental health as well, and especially after COVID and all that the community has gone through. If you can speak a little bit about what COVID meant and just dealing with all of the issues that we see around us today, how do you and your organization look at mental health, and how have you been able to sort of keep that as a key focus area?
কোভিডের প্রথমে না মেন্টাল হেলথ নিয়ে এত মানে ভাবতামই না, মানে যে
After COVID, the society has started talking about mental health. The government has been bringing conversations around mental health, but before that, there was no one talking about mental health. Whenever a woman had issues regarding mental health, she used to be stigmatized as a mad woman. Their husbands used to beat her and put them out of their house. So at that point of time, they used to also work on counseling the women. But later during COVID, what happened is that everyone started staying at home for a longer period of time, which increased the violence.
মদের দোকান খুললো বা সবাই বাইরে বেরোতে, একটি মেয়ে মানে অনেক মেয়ে আমাদের কাছে খবর এলো সুসাইড করেছে। কেন? এত হিংসা বেড়ে গেছে, সবসময় বাড়িতে থাকছে, নানান বিষয়ে ঝগড়া হচ্ছে, নানান কিছু হচ্ছে, কাজ চলে গেছে।
A woman was forced to commit suicide because she was at home all times, and her husband used to enforce their anger on women. So that's why their organization NOSKK realized that mental health is so important.
টেলিকাউন্সিলিং করলাম, অনেক কিন্তু সলিউশন হয়েছে, অনেক।
She started working on telecounseling, and a lot of problem can be solved if mental health issues are resolved.
মেন্টাল হেলথের বিষয়টা গুরুত্ব দিয়ে, এবং এখন একটা আমাদের কাজের একটা ইম্পর্টেন্ট পার্ট হচ্ছে মেন্টাল হেলথ।
Rahima ji also spoke a little bit about the staff and their work within another organization, Intention Collective and Healing Circles. Intention Collective is a separate organization that has been focusing on the well-being of NGO staff, and we've been able to partner with them to offer this program and support many of the leaders here, and they do amazing work. And so if you can speak a little bit about that, that would be useful.
ওই সেশনগুলো আমরা
Mental health is not just important for the community, but also for the team and the staff. So the Healing Circle is an initiative by the Intention Collective, and through Rebuild India Fund, they got these sessions, and this session has been very helpful for her. For the past 20 years, she has been working in this sector. This session in the past few months have helped her in her own development. She can now work more smoothly and joyfully.
অনেক জয়ফুলি কাজটা করতে পারছি, যেটা কিন্তু প্রচুর টেনশন করতাম, স্টাফদের সঙ্গে নানান টেনশন হতো। এখন অনেক বেশি আমার মনে হয়েছে যে অনেক
Previously, she used to be stressed with the community situation, but as an NGO leader, it's very important to talk about these issues, to consider that it's important to also talk about the mental health of NGO leaders because they are looking at the community, they're handling the team. So this sessions has been especially very important for her.
And I think it's important as donors to realize that investing in an organization, whether it's the leadership or even the team's mental health, is as critical as providing them health insurance. Because I think both are important to enable those who are on the ground to do their work effectively, both physically as well as mentally.
একদম একদম ঠিক। কি বলবো, এখন না কোনো সময় কোনো বাজেট করতে গিয়ে আমার মনে হয়েছে যে একটা মেন্টাল হেলথের জন্য আলাদা বাজেট রাখা উচিত।
One of the interesting things that she wanted to point out is that while she is writing funding proposals, she feels that it's important to also budget for the mental health of the leaders and the staff members. She feels that the goal that she writes in the funding proposals, she will reach faster if there is a mental health support.
No, and thank you, Rahima ji. I mean, this is something that we thought, at least from a rebuild perspective, to offer up to all of the organizations in the portfolio. Clearly, those that felt it was a need decided to sort of take the advantage of this opportunity. And so I think finally there's an awareness that even as leaders in the NGO sector, while we care for the community so much, again, there's somebody who needs to give us that gas mask too. Instead of us always providing the gas mask to others. And I really appreciate the leadership you've taken in both attending these courses, enabling others on your team to benefit from it, and advocating it. So in every proposal you put forward, this becomes a line item. Another initiative that you spoke about, which is a large collaborative, was the MRC, or Migrant Resilience Collaborative. Many times NGOs get so busy on the ground and doing their good work that they question whether they should collaborate or not, and whether they should be part of something that it's not just what they're doing on the ground, but could be, in this case, somewhat of a national movement. And so if you can give us a little bit of sense of what MRC is, how you decided that this would be a great opportunity for the organization to participate in, and what has that meant in terms of the value additions by being part of MRC that you've been able to provide your community that you may not have been able to do if you were doing this on your own.
যেমন আমরা কোভিড-19 পরে দাসরার সঙ্গে যোগ হয়েছে, রিবিল্ড ইন্ডিয়ার সঙ্গে যোগ হয়েছে, তো এমআরসির সঙ্গেও ঠিক 2021-এ আসিফজি এর আগে আমরা একটা প্রজেক্ট করেছিলাম একসঙ্গে, পোরেস্ট এরিয়া সিভিল সোসাইটি প্রোগ্রাম। সেখানে আসিফজিও
After COVID-19, Dasra and Rebuild India Fund came together with NOSKK. So at that point of time, she got to know about Asif ji and Jan Sahas in 2021. Asif ji used to talk a lot about migrant labor issues, about migrants not being able to come home, no food, dying on railway tracks. She also felt that this work is done in other states and she should also bring this migrant work in West Bengal as well. So she connected with Asif ji and both of them decided that they can collaborate together. Jan Sahas supported NOSKK in technical support as well as funding the organization. The funding was from Dignity Alliance in London. Actually, on field, the government doesn't have any data on migration. There is no registration, no helpline for this. One of the prominent programs is Nari-O-Shishu Nari-O-Shishu Kalyan Kendra. They goes to every house and register the issues and the identity of each of these migrants.
তাদের রেজিস্টার করা, তাদের হেল্পলাইন প্রমোশন করা, দুটো দিক আছে। একটা হচ্ছে যাতে মাইগ্রেশন যেখানে যাচ্ছে তারা যাতে সেফ থাকে, তাদের যে রাইটস আছে সেটা দেখা, এবং কোনো প্রবলেমে পড়লে তাদের ওয়ার্কার প্রোটেকশন বলে একজন অফিসার আছেন যাদের লিগাল সাপোর্ট দেওয়া হয়।
So at that point of time, through applications on phone, they could register these migrants. They had advocate who used to give support to the migrants. They had family programs also for the migrants because whenever the migrants used to go for work, no one had an idea where they are going. She also talked about a Mazdoor diary that she has where they have to register where are they going, whom are they working for, so that the family gets the right in case they don't come back.
মজদুর ডায়েরি আছে আমার কাছে, এক্ষুনি নেই, আমি দেখাতে পারবো না, কিন্তু সুন্দর মজদুর ডায়েরি। আমি কার কাছে যাচ্ছি, দেখা যাচ্ছে যে
The team members came together and decided to work in collaboration with government or with non-governmental organizations. They understood that if they come together, they can make a difference.
No, thank you, Rahima. I mean, clearly you're doing amazing work. You have so many different initiatives that you're managing. You have an all-women board, which is fantastic. I guess the last few questions I had was more around, since 1979, the organization has been registered. If you can give us a little bit of sense of what is different in terms of the funding you've got from Rebuild, what it has allowed you to do, and what can donors think about doing going forward, and how similar initiatives can sort of support NGOs perhaps better than the current funding structures.
মানে রিবিল্ড ইন্ডিয়া ফান্ড আমাদের একটা অনেক বড় কাজের সুযোগ দিয়েছে, অনেক বড়। আমি এতদিন কাজ করছি, আমরা কোনো
Rebuild India Fund has helped them in doing a lot of new work. Previously, since 1979, they have never gotten unrestricted funding. The donor always fixed a certain amount for certain activities. But after Rebuild's Fund, there has been a massive change and shift in her organization. With this money, they have been able to have a floor for skill training of women. Previously, they didn't have any social media presence. Now they have a very strong social media presence because of the support they have got from Rebuild India. Thirdly, they have also got support in writing proposals. One of the interesting project that she's talking about is 1,000 Zari worker women will be getting 5 crores in 3 years. They will be owning this entire livelihood project.
ফ্যাক্টরি হবে, এটা 3 দিন ধরে আমাদের চলছে জারি ওয়ার্কারদের জন্য। প্রপোজাল লেখা, আমরা একটা কনসালটেন্ট হায়ার করেছিলাম যে আমাদের প্রপোজাল লিখে দিয়েছে।
They have got support from Rebuild India Fund in writing this proposal, and now they'll be getting this fund from a government project. She talks about how many other NGOs she's come across who work on transgender rights, on gender empowerment, and food security. There's so much diversity in the portfolio. Even she talks about Martha Farrell Award.
মার্থা ফ্যারেল অ্যাওয়ার্ড, যার জন্য পুরো টিম, পুরো সংগঠন খুব খুশি হয়েছি যে থ্যাংক ইউ মার্থা ফাউন্ডেশনকে।
She received this award because she got to know Nandita from Martha Farrell Foundation.
আমার খালি মনে হচ্ছে যে আমার কেন আরো আগে দেখা হয়নি।
And she always thinks that why didn't she get this opportunity earlier?
So, Rahima ji, I think whenever you say so many nice things, that's why you also have to say how we can improve. So now you have to tell us what are some changes we need to make for Rebuild to be more equitable, more dignified, and support more grassroots leaders better.
একটা আমার খুব মনে হয়েছে যে এই প্ল্যাটফর্মটা যেভাবে ট্রেনিং গুলো করে, মানে আমি অনলাইনে ট্রেনিং, একজন অর্গানাইজেশনকে ধরুন আমাকে বলে দিলেন যে দাসরা থেকে ওকে সাপোর্ট করবে, কথা বলবে, এটা যদি আরেকটু ফ্রিকুয়েন্টলি হয়।
Rebuild organizes a lot of trainings. They have got exposure to different trainings. But if there's a monthly calling that happens to all this NGO to understand what their specific needs are, and if these trainings are a little more frequent, here within Rebuild, there are many organizations working on the same aspect, for example, in livelihood. So if there are any exposure visits possible to be conducted so that she can also learn from her peer, and at different workshops that Rebuild organizes, if all of the organizations can bring their own knowledge materials, they can share it with each other in different regional languages. So the things that she has learned over the past 5 years, she can share with her peer organizations. This can be a helpful way of disseminating knowledge.
No, thank you, Rahima ji. I think all of these points are very, very valid, and I think these are definitely areas that we want to improve upon. But I wanted to say thank you for your time. Thank you for the phenomenal work that you continue to do in West Bengal. And thank you for inspiring so many listeners on this podcast. They can figure out what they can do in their own geography, like you and your father have done for generations.
थैंक यू सो मच। बहुत ही आपका साथ बात करके मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा। और सबको मैंने আমি বাংলায় এটা বলতে চাই যে
Bangla mein.
এই পৃথিবীটা মানুষের বাসযোগ্য, সব মানুষ সম্মানের সঙ্গে বাঁচবে।
A dream is that everyone lives with dignity. Another world is possible. So if everyone comes together and everyone works together, then we can aspire for a beautiful world.
ডোনার, ইমপ্লিমেন্টিং এজেন্সি, সবাই ফিলান্থ্রপি যারা ভাবছে তারা সবাই একসঙ্গে হলে খুব ভালো হবে পৃথিবীটা।
Thank you. And thank you, Mashweta. We look to do more trilingual podcasts going forward, but thank you all and have a good day. Thanks for listening. If you'd like to know more about our work of any of the guests, or the Rebuild India Fund, please go to our website, dasra.org/NCB, where we've got show notes, links, and much, much more. No Cost Extension is produced by the amazing Vaca Media.